Hey everyone, welcome to Taste Different Gaming Appetizers. What are we talking about tonight? Nintendo. They're still in the news. So, before we get started, make sure to like the video, subscribe, help us out, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notifications to stay up to date with new videos that we do all the time. Let's get started. Nintendo Switch 2 owners using MIG or MIG flash cartridges say Nintendo is bricking their new consoles, even if they're only using the carts for their own ROMs rather than pirated games. So Nintendo apparently is not really bricking, but it's definitely causing issues, I should say. But
Banning
Nintendo
them from
apparently,
online play is what it's
yeah, banning from online play, exactly. So you can still use it, just can't play online. Nintendo apparently isn't taking too kindly to the Nintendo Switch owners using cartridges on their own on their new consoles that can be used to play pirated Switch games, as some users claim that inserting a certain flash cart has led to their new hardware getting banned. The MIG Switch or MIG Flash is a physical cartridge that can be inserted into these Switch consoles to load and play Switch games which have been downloaded onto it. Be that via files dumped from game purchased by the users or pirated copies found online. So, you know, the think of these as like the R4 cards that could be used on Nintendo DS systems. It was basically the same idea, or like EverDrives, things of that nature. EverDrive is a little different, but same kind of concept, right? Just a card that you can insert and play these on there. So Nintendo, before the Nintendo Switch 2 came out, they put out a statement. They were very strong about their anti-piracy stance. And they really doubled down on it in the recent years with, well, we've talked about Nintendo taking mods and various things to legal for just about anything. You know, you mess with Mario, you're messing with the whole Mushroom Kingdom, apparently. So one person says my Switch 2 test has been banned after using the MIG Switch, with perfectly legal dumps of my own cartridges. So it seems Nintendo can detect something. That was by a Twitch user, Switch Tools writes, sharing an image of their console displaying error code 2124-4508 with a message explaining that the use of the online services on this console is currently restricted by Nintendo. As per Nintendo support page, the area indicates that the Nintendo Switch console you're using has been permanently banned from connecting to the internet due to a breach of the user agreement. Switch Tools adds, I strongly recommend that you do not use the MIG Switch. It was already very risky to use, but it is even more so on the Switch 2. Others on Reddit have also reported bans after using the cartridge, with one writing, just wanting to let everybody know to refrain from using the MIG Flash on their Switch 2 online for now. My Switch 2 was banned. My account is fine for now. Only games I had were backed up games. Must be some new detection Nintendo has on these MIG switches. Another confused over the console has been why their console was banned. Notes the only thing I can think of is when he tried to use the MIG switch on my Nintendo Switch 2 once. It didn't work. It just showed the game title and refused to load. It tried to download a title update for it, and that was it. So possibly from that, they got flagged or whatever. They clarify they don't pirate games. They're just using it to back up their, the cartridges. So, we got a couple of things to talk about. This is the first thing we're going to talk about. The other one's not a big thing. It's just something that happened. It's kind of a little fun, but this one's more serious. So we'll start here and then we'll go on to the fun part later on. I understand Nintendo's stance on those things, but I also understand, we've talked about preservation on here a lot with gaming preservation. And I completely understand users wanting to back up their cartridges onto, or back up their games onto a separate cartridge to be able to play or to have as a backup, right? Backups are always a good thing. And so I don't know. Nintendo, I can understand using something third party that Nintendo would detect it and be like, hey, whatever. But really, this for gaming companies, in my opinion, which they won't do it, but in my opinion, they should really look at this as an opportunity to potentially sell the consumer base a product that can do just that, right? Make backup or copies of the games they own. And maybe, I don't know, base it on licenses or something like that. Because, if you sell the game, then you shouldn't be able to play it, but they could come up with something, right? These companies are smart enough. They pay enough people. They have enough money. They could come up with some sort of idea to allow users to back up their games and still be able to play them as they own those games, right? So they could definitely come up with something. Let's go around and see what these guys think of it. Patrick, what do you think of Nintendo and the cartridge fiasco?
Well, if you're a Nintendo fan, you probably don't want to listen to anything I say because I'm the biggest detractor of the group on Nintendo because I'm the only one who doesn't have a Switch too. And I don't actually want one at the given time because there's nothing worthwhile. But Nintendo, here's the thing: is you should always be able to back up your media. I don't care what it is. I mean, even Steam gives you a way to back up libraries and things like that. And that's all digital, right? So for Nintendo to basically, I know what they're standing on, and they're standing on their DRM encryption, like you're decrypting aspects of the code to be able to pull it off and then play it. When that's what they're standing on, right? Because in the US, it's legal to make backup copies of the software you own. The where it becomes non-legal is when you have to use proprietary encryption and decryption to pull that, and that's what Nintendo's banking on, is the decrypting of their software. So I really hope that there's a class action lawsuit against Nintendo over this and they lose. There really needs to be a lawsuit against Nintendo for this, because you should be able to back up and use the backed up media to play. Because what's the point, right? If I back up my cartridge but I can never use it, what's the point of backing it up at that point, right? They're going to they're going to basically disable online play for me. So now I have a console I can only play offline. I can only, it won't let me go online to their services, right? Game update. I don't know this for sure, but I'm assuming that you're removed from all their online services, which means you don't get game updates. You can't participate in any of the anything online with the game, right? So I really think Nintendo needs to get their hands smacked for this one, because that is something that's legal over here and in other countries, right? They have rights to back up your software that you own. I guess lease in this aspect, because I am a firm factor. If you don't own it, if purchasing doesn't make you an owner, then piracy isn't theft. You can say whatever you want, but at the same time, I say screw you, Nintendo. That's just a way to basically, that's bad form in my opinion. Just my opinion on that. And everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but I think Nintendo's in the wrong here for banning you for now. There is no way for them to tell if you legitimately own that, right? Because it could have been a ROM that was ripped illegally. So that's where there's a gray area that, how do you solve that? I don't know, right? Because I just don't know how you can solve that problem. Because, if you back up the media and then let's say they're like, well, you got to pop in the original cart. Well, I backed up my media because I may lose my cart or my cart got destroyed or whatever. So now I can't pop that in. So now, my backed up media is worthless if I have to pop in the original media or something. I don't know. I do not know the right answer to that, but I do know that the answer of banning people for using this device that has a legal, legitimate use. Now, is everybody using it for that? I don't know. That's between them and their moral, their moral compass, right? So I feel that Nintendo's in the wrong here. I should be able to do what I want with my copy, make backups of it, and put my backup put my primary original back on the shelf and never pull it down again, and always play with the backup, because that's the whole point of it. I can lose the backup and be like, oh, fine, I'll just go back to my original and rip it again and put it on the micro SD card and then pop it into the cart and then put it in the Switch or Switch 2. So I 100% feel that Nintendo's in the wrong here. But I don't own one, so it's no skin off my back. So, but I do think that Nintendo is testing the waters here a little bit, because I don't know. The whole DRM thing is what they're going to stand on, and that's what's going to save them, if anything will save them in this argument if lawsuits come about from it. Nintendo's very sue happy. I hope their fan base is very sue happy too, as their consoles become unable to access online services anymore. So, yeah, that's just my opinion. Shane, what do you think, man? What do you think about this, using this device, this cart that allows you to pop in micro SDs to play ROMs and stuff?
I'm a double-edged sword on this. I really am. Like you said, it's people's moral clarity is going to dictate left or right. If it is purely set up for backups, no problem with that whatsoever. But here's the thing: Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, they wanted all digital world. So that's why they're fighting so hard on this stuff. They want an all digital world. So you will never own anything. I mean, it's basically that way now. You buy something, you're not buying. You're not buying the game. You're buying a license to play the game. And that's what Sony wants, Nintendo wants, Microsoft wants. They want an all digital world. So your game crashes, you lose your game. Guess what? They still got it. It's online somewhere at a Nintendo farm. But here's the thing: how many consoles have we seen come and go? There you go.
All 3D,
of them. Dreamcast, 3DO, Sega Genesis, Sega Saturn, Sega Neptune.
They can't sell you a remaster if they let you back it up.
That's true. And that's another thing.
Why can't they, right? I mean, Steam allows you to back up your installed games. I mean, and that's a 100% digital storefront.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. But here's the thing. They want to follow that route, but not to that point. They don't want those options. Right. They want to make it as difficult for you as possible and as financially available to them. So if your disc breaks, guess what? You're buying a new one. If your card breaks, you're buying a new one. That's just the way they see it and the way they want it. And, they just interrupted. They don't want you to have any other. Yes, my wife is leaving. Congratulations, people. She left me. So, but they just don't want you to have an option of not buying more shit. Your cartridge breaks, you have to buy another cartridge. That's it. I mean, that's your option. That's your choice. You don't have any other. But the alternative is you buy a digital version where you have even less rights of, where most of games now you have to be connected online. And it makes it even more difficult because sometimes you just don't want to. I mean, you guys, your internet went out yesterday for what, an hour or two? And how many games can you play offline? I mean, really. I mean, Nick can. He's got the classic setup over there, which is great, and so do I. But Pat's not going to whip out his PlayStation and find a disc that's offline, or his Xbox, or even his Steam games. I don't know about PC games if you can play some offline, but
Steam has some games require Steam to be online to launch. So if you launch Steam in offline mode, some of them won't play, but a lot of them, if they're already installed, they will play.
Okay. So
I had the cart and I played the Switch 2. I played the Echoes of Wisdom while the internet was down.
There you go. So I don't like it. But I understand it in some ways. The problem, I think, overall, and I think Pat will definitely agree, is Nintendo's getting too big for their warp hole. They want pure 100%, and Sony's really not any better. And I mean, I don't know how to feel about Microsoft because I never know what the hell they're doing, but they don't want that. They want pure control over everything in the gaming world, plain and simple. I mean, that's that's why you see so many problems like this. They want to take away options. They want to take away your rights. They want to take away your choice. So it's gross. But I also understand. You shouldn't be able to download a game illegally and play it. I agree with that 100%. But I should be able, like Pat said, take my Nintendo Switch cartridge or my PlayStation disc or my Xbox disc, my Steam disc, just kidding, and back it up. Put my thing on a shelf to protect for longevity, to protect, if something ever happens, it's not lost forever. I can just go right over there, grab it, redo it, and I'm good to go. I'm golden. I'm Pony Boy. But it's just not what the developers and the manufacturers want. So, but Nick,
and Nintendo's been always been really, really touchy with ROMs, right? I mean,
yes,
and rightfully so to some extent. I mean, they've shut down a lot of emulators. They've gone after a lot of the ROM hosting sites, which those are illegal, right? There's no reason that somebody's hosting those ROMs other than just give you free copy of the games. I can't think of a legitimate reason why there's an online ROM library that you can access, right? So Nintendo's going to go after them and do whatever they can. But emulators, they're like to stand out with emulators is they're going after the emulators, stating that the emulators are actively breaking their encryption, which is against their terms of service. And I'm just like, that's because you prevent us from backing up the physical media that we actually own.
Yep.
And so, you got to break that encryption to back it up, right? Or else the thing's useless at that point. It's not like I can just go 1-to-1. Here's my cartridge. I'm going to make a 1-to-1 copy of the cartridge, and then now I can pop it in. I've got to break that encryption, got to decrypt it to move it, and then to rebuild it, So,
well, I don't know if the new Xbox, well, the last couple of Xboxes do this, but the 360, they came out to where you download your game, your disc onto the drive. You use the disc basically as a key, and then it plays off. So that should be, that's an option. You're not running your disc, so you're preventing some damage, but you still have to use it as a key to unlock, which I think that I'm okay with. But they got to be able to say, hey, how do you? I don't know the tech stuff. You guys are tech people. They got to be able to say, hey, how do I know that this is a legitimate Switch 2 cartridge, or just a MiG 23, whatever the hell that thing was called. So.
Nintendo has to come up with a legitimate. They need to come up with a solution to back up their cartridges and to make those backups playable. They need to come up with a solution rather than letting these third parties do it and then saying, "Oh, I've detected a third party, device. Now I'm going to disable online play for your device," because there's no way, right? Because you can't say I need to see the original every now and then, right? Because that defeats the purpose of a backup. Yeah. Because if I back it up and then my original gets eaten by the dog, or the kid loves the super sourness of the cartridge and eats it, and next thing you know, you only got the backup copy. You can never put the original back in to play again. Mm-hmm. So you can't use that as a way, because now but like you said, they don't care. They want you to go buy a new one, go buy another one. And their games never go on sale. The majority of the time, their games always just increase in price over the years, unless the market's flooded with the game. Yep. And physical media is becoming more of a rarity, so that's not going to happen anymore.
Yep. You go look for GameCube games like Mario Kart Mario Party was like $180 something freaking dollars.
GameCube games in general are expensive.
Yes, they really, really are. So it's I hate to see Nintendo doing this, and I love Nintendo games. Always have, and I always will. But Nintendo as a company has just really just turned to the dark side, and I really am angry about it. So,
I mean, they just have no way to protect their IP. No. They need to come up with a better way to protect their stuff. Not their IPs, but their physical media from whatever they need to. People getting free games. They need to figure out a way to do that legitimately, whether that's forcing them coming out with a legitimate tool, forcing me to register the game online, which means that you could never trade it in then if you do that. And if you're, and then retailers like GameStop have to have a website where they can go in and go say, I'm gonna go put this key in and see if this key's been registered. If it has, then you can't trade it in. Things like that. They need to be able to do something like that. It says this this game is always attached to your account now if you do this or something. I don't know.
Hey, Nick, when the Xbox One was being announced and everything, wasn't there something similar to what Pat was saying, where that game locks to your system? And then if you couldn't trade it in, there was something about that.
Yeah, they were doing some sort of DRM stuff with that. It was online checks, I think, every single time.
Yeah. I mean, that's been some years back, but
that was when the old Don Matrick years.
Yeah, God, I miss him.
Good old days.
I miss him with every drive down the street.
Mm. Yeah, but I mean, as far as this goes, I agree with you guys. I mean, like Patrick reiterated, the Nintendo, as well as these other companies, need to come up with a solution. There's clearly a need, a want, right, for that. And so why not come up with a solution that is legitimate that people can use? But again, like you guys said, they don't want to do that. They want you to buy from them, and while they hold on to your balls the entire time.
Yeah, we need more consumer protections for gamers. We truly do.
All right, so we're going to move over to the fun portion.
Yay.
It's about as fun as staring at a brick wall, but
getting your hopes up.
Yeah.
And then crushing them.
So a giant advert for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond at London's Oxford Circus Tube station states that the game is now available, sparking confusion from Nintendo fans on their morning commute. So if you've seen this, it was basically an advert for Metroid Prime 4, the Nintendo Switch 2 version, and it says out now. It's a big advert sign for the game. Fans have speculated that the advert is perhaps outdated. Maybe Nintendo did initially plan to launch Metroid Prime 4 now, and the wording was updated. Whatever. Who knows? Nintendo did provide an update to IGN. They confirmed with IGN that the Metroid Prime 4 advert currently at Oxford Circus in London is incorrect, and the game still lacks an official release date. They say we cannot confirm that the out now message in the advert we can confirm, I should say, is incorrect. And Nintendo spokesman said Metroid Prime 4 Beyond and the Prime 4 Beyond Nintendo Switch 2 editions are not yet available and are scheduled for release in 2025. IGN has been able to verify that the advert currently remains in place at the station as detailed in the original report. So before we go over these guys real quick, this is what I originally said at the before the Nintendo Switch 2 came out. I think the reason why it was there was such a short window from, hey, we got a Switch 2 is coming out, and the various things like that was because I think they were going to release the Switch 2 with the Metroid Prime 4 as a launch title. I said this before Switch 2 came out. I said I think that the reason why the Switch 2 has been kind of, Nintendo's wanting to talk about it, they haven't yet, is because they want to launch it aside that. And I think something just happened in, in development where it just wasn't ready and it wasn't going to be ready yet. And Nintendo's like, whatever, let's just pull the trigger. We'll put out the Switch and then, Prime 4 will come out later. I think that's where that advert comes from, because I think Nintendo did plan on having Metroid Prime 4 and Mario Kart be two launch titles for the Switch 2, which would be really big, right? And that would make sense, especially because we were hearing that, Metroid Prime 4 was going to come out this year, which is still scheduled to do so, as well as the Switch 2 was going to come out this year. This is before we had any set dates. So it was kind of like, oh, they're going to coincide those things together. And I think originally that's what was going to be the case. And in this case, where the advert that London has, they just didn't get a new advert or whatever for that game coming out later this year, or whatever the case may be. So they stuck it up on there, not knowing that the game wasn't out, right? And so I think that's you can say rabbit hole or conspiracy theory. I think that's what they originally were going to do. And again, if you look back at some of our previous videos before the Switch 2 launched, I had said that Metroid Prime was going to be a launch title, or at least I hoped it was going to be, and they were going to coincide with it, but it didn't happen. And I think that's the reason why. I think it just got delayed too long, and Nintendo said, "Screw it, let's just put the Switch 2 out," because it was like Nintendo was like, Switch 2, here it is, and it's come out tomorrow. That's pretty much it wasn't quite that short, but it felt like it for sure. It was a very short, like, hey, here's the Switch 2, and it's coming out in a couple months. And it's like, wow, that was fast. Because we had like zero details, and all of a sudden we had all the details, and it was coming out in a couple weeks, right? Or in a month or 2 months or whatever it was. So it was insane. But let's go around and see what everybody thinks. Shane, what do you think of the advert for Metroid Prime?
That was a bigger tease than finding out she was just a hot dude. I mean, that pissed a lot of people off. I mean, just some of the things I've seen, people are like, are you kidding me? And I agree with you, Nick. I think it was a planned thing that got delayed, and somebody didn't tell the guy at the subway not to put that crap up. So it's funny. I think I really do. I'm super pumped for Prime 4, but I know there's a lot of pissed off people about it, especially those like, Pat hadn't bought a Switch 2 yet. I got one for Father's Day. Nick sold his soul, so we both got one. But
for Father's Day, he bought himself one. He just used that as an excuse. Yes, you are.
Baby she asked me what I wanted. I said a Switch 2. So
literally, we were at Nick's house, and Shane's just asking about it. He's like, you think they still got him at the store? And he went hunting just right after he left.
No. Yeah, I didn't have to go hunting. Friend of ours had it for sale.
He did hunt.
You did hunt because you messaged and said, hey, they didn't have any at Walmart.
Oh, no. She said I wanted one. She said if I wanted one, she can get it. And I looked. I couldn't find any.
You did. That's what I say. You went hunting for one.
So then Steve had one extra for sale. So I was like, mine. But anyways, it's a major tease on people because Pat's right. There's not much out to play. Odyssey looks great on there. Zelda looked really good too. Watched Nick play it. And it's a great little system, but this would have been really nice to be playing right now. I mean, Donkey Kong still got another, 3-4 weeks out. And
yeah, it comes out next month.
Yeah, so
I just Donkey Kong looks really good, but yeah, I mean, they definitely need more launch titles, and I think they were going to. I just think it didn't work out that way.
Yeah, too many delays, but it is what it is. I mean, everybody seems PlayStation is definitely short on exclusives right now, and Xbox is doing better, but nothing's really exclusive to them anymore. So they definitely could have used the Prime 4. I'm pumped for it, but it's. You would have thought, I mean, the person who put it up obviously knows nothing about video games, because that would have been one I would have told myself, hey, boss, this don't feel right. But, that's me. What do you think, Pat? You brokenhearted?
I feel that Nick's probably right. They were planning it as a launch title, and then they sent out all the adverts, and then this company who I think, I probably, unless it was somebody who doesn't play video games, there's like, I don't know, even old people these days play video games because
it's a Switch. Everybody had a Switch.
So I think what it is they just hired some Metro company to just put up the signs, and they're like, this ain't out yet. I don't care. My job was to hang it. That was it.
That's right. I'm getting paid.
Yep. Yeah. So they're just like hanging it. Probably laughing. Probably laughing the whole time. Yeah. Probably laughing the whole time about, this ain't out yet. This is funny.
Oh yeah. I'm getting paid to put it up, and about a day I'll get paid to take it down.
Yeah. And then they're laughing the whole time, shooting videos of people pointing at the sign, and then how many Google searches do you think that increased? Is Metroid 4 Prime out now?
Oh, I bet you. Yeah, the Metroid Prime Google search results are like freaking from 0 to 100.
What do they got over? They got Babbage's, or what do they got over there in
game?
Yeah, they got game. Yeah. They're probably going. Everybody's going to the game store. Can I get the Metroid 4 Prime? Well, the advert said it's out now.
Right. It's almost like Battletoads again.
Yeah. So I mean, So I feel you probably right. Nick, it probably was going to be a launch title, and then something happened. But it's one of those things where it's not an exclusive to Switch 2, so it's not. Yeah, it's a Switch 1 game as well. So unlike Mario Kart and Donkey Kong, which are Switch 2 exclusives, this one will not be. So
And the new Splatoon Raiders spinoff is a Switch 2 exclusive as well.
Yeah. So, none of those are consoles. None of those three are console sellers for me.
They are not. The
Metroid
Donkey Kong
Prime
looks really good, but
might have been.
I'm a big Donkey Kong fan now, but I didn't play the last one, so.
You guys know me. I'm not a huge platformer, so the Donkey Kong usually in my wheelhouse.
Metroid,
I like them. Metroid
definitely would have definitely. I mean, I did buy one, but I mean, it definitely would have gotten me to buy one faster. I don't know
if it was an exclusive only.
Even with the updates, like I played through Breath of the Wild and finally beat it on Switch 2, and with the updates, it's kind of like one of our, I don't know if he's a viewer or not, but one of the guys said on here, like, which I understand where he's coming from, but I disagree with it. But, those games, the games that you wanted to play on Switch that looked and played kind of bad.
Yep.
Most of those now play really, that like they've done upgrades for. Yeah, they play great now. Like Breath of the Wild looks great, plays great. Echoes of Wisdom looks great, plays great, like Tears of the Kingdom, all that stuff. So it's almost like a new game. Like, oh yeah, like you can really have fun with it because now it's playing at a stable frame rate and everything looks really nice and it's very detailed, right? And so playing through Breath of the Wild again, I wasn't bored. I was having fun going through there again and doing things again. It almost felt like a new game, right? So that's good. But that's not going to be, that's not a system seller either, right? That that one that I think you replied to it, Shane, that guy that commented on there saying that, we were talking about like new games. And,
yes.
Yeah. And his reasoning was people buy Switch 2 to play Mario Kart, but that's not the only thing. They play like the old games renewed again in there. And I'm like, I bet you a percentage of the people that bought a Switch 2 that was not on their bingo card of things they were going to do with the Switch 2, right? People don't buy like us gamers, yes, but people normally don't go out and buy a Switch 2 or a new Xbox or, whatever to use the old thing. Right. That doesn't
to go back and play old
games. So, right.
I got that right here. Just sorry to interrupt you. So he says most people simply don't think of it like that. There's not only one game to play on Switch 2 right now. People sell their Switch 1 and upgrade to the Switch 2, except for very few, basically a handful of less important ones. There's Switch 1 games play on Switch 2. Most play better or look better. And if you've gone full digital with Switch, you have a library of games that you've accumulated over 7 to 8 years. Now, I can understand.
I understand where he's coming from. And I agree that.
But here's the thing. Not all Switch 1 games work on the Switch 2.
Exactly what I was saying.
Right.
Yep.
And again, people don't typically upgrade so they can play their Switch 1 games or their old games. I mean, we do, sure, or maybe me, right? And maybe Shane, right? We'll buy an Xbox or a PlayStation and pop in a PlayStation 3 game or whatever, and play through it.
I'm playing Final Fantasy X again on my Xbox.
So. Right. So we will, but most players are like Pat, where they don't. They want the new, the exciting. That's why they bought the thing, right? They didn't buy it to play, it's like buying a brand new 2025 car and you put an 8-track in it, right?
I didn't buy it to go back and play Breath of the Wild or
exactly. Right. Like I would, and I did, but Patrick, which is like most gamers out there, in that sense, usually buy a new device to play the new stuff, right? Yep. Not to play old games that they've already played before, right? Even though these games look great, and there are going to be some people that will go back and play them again, like myself. Majority, I don't think, are going to do that.
Yeah, I don't think people are, especially because the price tag doesn't warrant that, right? I mean, if you, what is GameStop offering you for a Switch? $100?
They were offering something. I think they were offering like 150.
Okay, so 150. So I need to come up with another $300 if I want the Mario Kart bundle.
Right.
And I'm like, that's just still not worth it.
Yeah, well, that'd be more than that. I mean, with taxes and stuff.
Well, yeah, but let's just knock tax off whatever. Just $350, which would get me to the $500 to get the Mario Kart bundle.
Yeah, that's a hell of an upgrade, right?
Yeah, the $300 is not worth
to play
it
like a 7-year-old game, right, in 4K.
And Mario Kart and Donkey Kong are not something that I must play. They're something I want to play, but they're not like system sellers or pushers.
It's one you would borrow from Nick.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, they aren't system sellers, right? I mean, I love Mario Kart World.
Donkey for some Kong, people, but not the majority. I don't think.
Donkey Kong looks really great. I'm looking for it. I already have it paid off, so I'm ready to pick it up when it comes out.
And I'll borrow it when he's done.
But they aren't system movers.
Yeah,
Pat's exactly right. They're not system movers.
But okay, so real quick, I looked up GameStop's trade-in values for the original Switch. Now, this is the original, which is 7-8 years old.
Or anything.
Exactly. So Pro, we'll just go with the Pro because we know regular is worse. Store credit. Pat, give me your guess.
$75.
Nick?
I would say, well, now it's probably went down, but before the Switch 2 came out, I think they were offering more.
They were offering more as a deal.
I would say like $100.
$93.50.
Yeah.
Cash is $65, and then basically knock $10 off the regular. So that is not worth it. I could sell it to Pat for $150 if his kid wanted one, and I'm just saying if he didn't have it.
Yeah.
So, but the Switch 2 is a great system that should have came out 7 to 8 years ago.
Right.
It
should have came out a long time ago.
It should have come out a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it should have. And we all love our Switch. And when we played it, most games are great. But you could see how long in a tooth it was getting within just a few years of its release.
Right. I mean especially with the last 2 years of games that came out for it, you could definitely tell that the system just could not handle the stuff the Echoes of Wisdom, that was the last Zelda game. I mean, that game looked great, but I mean, it had horrible frame rate issues. It doesn't now. I played it on Switch 2. It plays great. But on Switch 1, it was like, damn, this system is struggling with this game.
Yeah. And that's the point. The console is outdated already. Switch 2 is already outdated if you want to compare it to what the Xbox and the PlayStation can do. Yeah. Even a low-end PC, it doesn't really compare that much. But it's all about what they do to the inside and how they create the game that makes the Switch 2 work well. I mean, Mario Odyssey at time of release was beautiful. You could definitely see it's not aged as well, but it's still a great playing game. But now it just works even better on the Switch, just like, Legend of Zelda does. So, but just short story long, Metroid Prime 4 should have been released with the console. They would have sold. I think they would have done even better on sales because that was.
They did really good on sales. Me and Pat talked about that last time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they've done really well, but just imagine Metroid Prime 4. I mean, they would have done double games.
Because what did we say? Yeah. The last thing we talked about was within 4 days they sold 3.2 million, which was the most.
It beat.
I think it was the most console sales in that short period of time. At least it beat the Switch 1 in that short period of time, right?
I think it also beat everybody. I think it beat
everything in that short period of time, not overall, but in that short period of time.
Yeah, it's 3.5 million units worldwide. That's worldwide, though.
Worldwide, right? Yeah. Not just
like you can't find one in Japan if you want one at all.
Right.
So.
But you know what? I say we go and we look.
I say we do. Mm-hmm. I went up to the Walmart here and they didn't have any. They had a section for it, but one thing I noticed is they got rid of like almost every Xbox game. There's just like a little shelf that has a few on there, and that's about it.
I noticed that too the other day. They moved the whole electronic area around where the games were. And
they have a Switch 1 area, a Switch 2 area, a PlayStation area, and then this little
with that little
shelf.
End track, the little end shelf.
Yeah, they don't Xbox on it.
They don't even put the consoles behind glass anymore.
No, they just say free. No, I'm just joking.
Take me
home. I'm an Xbox. Anyway, so that's to make a long video even longer. But that's it. That's all that happened. We'll get Metroid Prime later this year. hopefully, and it'll be hopefully good. So, you guys got anything else you want to add about anything we talked about?
Nope. Hold on to your Switch One so you can play those cartridges, back up your cartridges, and still be able to play. Because can't do that on your Switch 2, or else you've turned your online machine into an offline machine.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. MIG. Avoid it.
Don't avoid it. Sue Nintendo.
Yes. Anybody with money, sue Nintendo. Let me know how it goes. I'll walk into the courtroom with like a cast time hour. They hurt me. They broke my arm.
I'm suing for tree
beat
fitting.
Me up. I paid for a different service. Anyway.
That's right. Bowser showed up, beat my ass.
Said, where's my money?
Where's my money?
So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for listening. Let us know down in the comments section what you think. Other than that, see you next time. Hit like, hit subscribe. Goodbye.
See ya.